And so it was a struggle. It was like I didn't know how to manage this hair.
Right.
I'd had relaxers since I was 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old.
Right. So like whose hair even is this that I'm
Right,
looking at now? Like,
right. Whose hair is this? What's happening with it? And I
right.
had
What do
to
I do with
learn.
it?
Yes, what do I do with it?
Hey, I'm Teen Zekis.
And hey, I'm Ileka Falette. We are business owners and moms with corporate backgrounds, and we are all about getting Black women paid in both corporate and business.
And you're listening to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. I am really excited about this episode. We mentioned back when we were talking about code switching, something came up about hair, and we were like, we got to do a whole episode about hair. So here it is. We are talking about hair. And just a reminder, I am Teen Zekis. I'm the founder of Getting Black Women Paid.
And I am Ileka Falette, and I'm a business strategist, and I help business women get seen and get paid.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna put it out there right now. I cannot stand my hair right now. So for anyone who's watching on YouTube, I'm hoping this is one of the last ones where you will see my hair like this. I'll start with right before the pandemic, I had committed to a shortcut that was going to involve, a lot of visits to upkeep. And so when the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, I don't have anybody to go to. So I started buzzing it short. And then it was when George Floyd happened, I started shaving it completely bald, like shaving cream, like totally bald. And reflecting on that, I'm like, I think part of that was a grieving thing. Mm-hmm. And part of it was I, as a biracial woman, I think specifically, mm-hmm. however my genetic makeup worked out, my hair is kind of my whitest feature.
Oh, wow.
And I think I was really leaning into my blackness in that mm-hmm. moment and was like, I got to get rid of this.
And that's how I met you when you had the shaved hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm like, I've been trying to grow it out because I think I had in my mind that like, it's going to be when I'm older that I'm going to have this like shortcut all the time. But like this in-between phase, I do not like. And I think it will take years. And so I think we are post the revelation that I'm going to have to start shaping it again, or at least buzzing the sides or something. So hopefully this is one of the last times you all will see this with it on my ears, on my neck, on I hate it.
What's so funny too, before we even get into like the big, deeper conversation around hair and where it comes from, what's really funny about today's episode is that, we text in between, like we're actual friends, right? And so Teen texted me the other day, this video of this man in Trinidad, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was giving these women these incredible short haircuts. And she's like, I got to do it. It's time. I got to get my cut back. And I was like, do it. I was like, watching this video, I might do it.
Right. I'm going to see if I can find that video and put it in the comments or in the description. Because it is, I mean, even just the transformation that the women experience and the joy in their faces upon seeing it really does tell you how important hair is in terms of our self-concept, our self-esteem, our like expression of ourselves. And like my favorite was the guy who did it. He was the barber. He would be jumping up and down in the background when they would see he was jumping.
He was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Yeah, I mean, literally like jumping for joy.
Yes.
With each person. I was like, that's so much fun. But that's the thing, right? Our hair, we've allowed it to define us in so many ways. And for so long, right? So especially as Black women, I know, I remember growing up, it was like, I had a cousin whose hair didn't grow as much, right? As fast as some of us, right? And so she had to get a jerry curl. And then there was me, my hair kind of grew fast, but my sister's hair grew so much faster. And so I remember literally being jealous that my sister's hair grew faster than mine. And it was a thing. Like we used to sit there like, look, my hair is like, we would try and pull down to see whose hair was the longest. And all it was such a and when you think about it, it's such a weird thing. And it's like, where does that even come from? Why is that such a huge part of our identity? You know,
Right.
and who what are we trying to prove with it at the end of the
Right.
day?
Well, and there's this whole culture around good hair.
Hmm.
If you have good hair, which unfortunately often means proximity to whiteness,
Right,
right?
exactly.
If it's less kinky, if it's more like
Hmm.
what a white person's hair looks like,
Right.
that was considered good hair, and that's why
Hmm.
people were relaxing their hair or were doing whatever was
Yeah,
this like you know um, proximity to whiteness. And I think
exactly.
about it every time I hear the term like professional hair.
Oof. Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
what is professionalism in general? In
This now, right? This is
Right,
what we consider, right?
right. And for
Professional
for
hair.
those listening, Ileka's pointing to her relaxed
Yeah. No, it's not
straight.
relaxed. It's
Oh, it's just
straightened.
combed and
Yeah. Oh
straight.
no, I can't. Relaxers give people fibroids and all kinds of stuff. We don't even want to go into all the
Right.
craziness that we found out comes from relaxers. But yeah,
Mm,
I straighten my hair sometimes.
mhm.
And you know what's super funny is when I straighten my hair, my husband always like as soon as I walk in with the straight hair, he's like at it. Like it's almost like I've walked in with a skunk in my hands or something. Like he is just so annoyed that I have straightened my hair and like
Okay.
in his mind I've done something else with it. Like all of a sudden I've straightened my hair and I'm wearing like a face full of makeup. In his mind, literally no makeup. But
Right.
he puts it to him it's fake. And
You're
he
right.
can't
You're putting
stand
on
it.
some kind of show.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
Exactly.
I think that's why this came up during the code switching conversation,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
What is this facade that we're putting on by trying to make our hair something that
Mhm.
is different from how it naturally grows out of our head?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And what's funny to me is as we're kind of leaning back into the conversations around code switching and the hair stuff, I always looked at it in different ways. I think this is two conversations. I think one is how we look at our own hair, and two is what it says in corporate, right?
hmm,
So it's like the or what's professional, right? So the side I want to talk about really quickly is how we look at our own hair, right? Like
right.
for me, I used to think it had to be straight in order for me to look okay, right?
Mhm.
But I went natural, meaning by going natural for anyone who's pretty much not black, because all black people, I think, for the
You
most
know
part,
what that
all black
means? Yeah.
women know what that means, right?
Uh-huh.
So anyone listening that's not right, going natural really just means like no longer getting a relaxer, right? So I did this in 2010. 2010 was the last time I got a relaxer, and I was pregnant with my second son, and I remember January I got in a relaxer, January 2010.
Mhm.
Then I found out I was pregnant like February. And I just was like, oh, I don't think I don't get them while I'm pregnant. And then after I had them, I was just like, I'm just not gonna get another one, you know? And so it was a struggle. It was like I didn't know how to manage this hair.
Right,
I'd had relaxers since I was 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old.
right. So, like, whose hair even is this that I'm
Right.
looking at now? Like,
Right. Whose hair is this? What's happening with it? And I
right. What
had
do
to
I do with
learn.
it?
Yes, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
And I
and
had to learn. Mhm.
I want to go back quickly to you didn't get relaxers when you were pregnant
Right.
because the chemicals are so toxic
Mhm.
that you didn't want to
Oh,
harm your child, right? Like, so, I mean, just the idea that
the
we have
thought.
this
Mhm.
expectation that you are going to regularly expose yourself to those things
That's
so that you can look more acceptable in whatever way we've decided
exactly.
is acceptable. It's
And
just,
the funny thing is I know for myself and my sisters for sure, because we all got perms so young in age. And for so many of us, especially at that time, we didn't even know what our regular hair looked like. So we didn't
right,
know if it was unacceptable. We were getting relaxers because at that point it was just what we did.
that's
It
just
was
what you do.
normal. It was like someone tells you that you have to stand in this line. So you just stand in the line and you keep standing in the line until
Right.
someone tells you not to.
Well, and you're the
And
age
that's
you're
what the
learning about.
relaxer was.
You're the age you're learning about everything. Okay, I got to brush my teeth. I got to do whatever. I got to relax my hair. Right? Like, it's just one of the things you do.
It's just one of the things.
Yeah.
And so, but when I did it, I didn't know, I'd never felt this type of hair coming out of my head. I only had to I got relaxers maybe every 2 months, 2.5 months. And I didn't even realize that my braid of hair wasn't it because I could go that long without getting a relaxer, I probably didn't need one as much as I thought I did.
Right. Otherwise, you would have noticed the
Right,
routine of it and been like,
exactly.
"Oh, it's time." Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
But I needed one in my brain, in my mind, right? But once I got rid of all that and decided that I was just going to have my hair, I had to figure it out. So it
Yeah.
was either, I could do braids or I had to figure out this twist out. And remember, this is 2010, 2011. There weren't a lot of videos out there. There was one woman,
Right.
Natural 85, and some other woman whose name started with like SH. I don't remember the rest of her name. And they had a couple of videos on YouTube, and we were all struggling through it.
We were all just on our own.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because no one ever taught us. My mother doesn't know how to do her natural hair.
Right.
So how could she couldn't teach me how to do it, So it was a true struggle. And trying to go to work with my hair, like that would have been crazy. I thank God I worked from home at the time. Because if you would have seen me, you would have passed right out. You'd be like, you would have fainted.
Yeah. And that actually is the reason I had the courage to shave my head too, was that I was working remotely. And I was like, well, if it turns out I have a crazy shaped head, I got some time. I can leave the camera off for, a few weeks or whatever.
Right. Exactly. It's just so funny because, again, acceptable, right? And at the end of the day, we've got to look at what we've decided is acceptable versus what the world has. So going back to my husband, he looks at me and he's like, when I have straight hair, in his mind, I'm just trying to be white. That's essentially what it is, right? And I'm like, that's not even it. I'll wear my hair straight sometimes. I'll wear it in braids sometimes. Sometimes I'll just wear a wash and go. Like I'll do different things. And I love that I can do different things. Sometimes I'll wear fake hair in my head just because it's a protective style. Yeah. But I think that what's amazing is, as Black women, I think we have many of us have stepped away from I'm wearing my hair straight because white people wear their hair straight. I think we're kind of like, you know what? Today I want straight. Tomorrow I want, a flare up. I want whatever. I want, wash and go. I want braids the next day.
Yeah.
And we get to own it, that took a long time.
Absolutely.
To own it.
And when you talk about time, I do realize that it's mostly older generations that I'll hear the advice like, oh, well, you can't go to an interview with an afro, or you can't, you can't go to a job interview with your hair natural,
yep.
right?
Exactly.
Or you can't have, you can't have locks and be professional, right? Yeah. And I think that's that's evolving with, like, you can't have a visible tattoo and be professional, right? Yep. That we're starting to change what professional means. And I think it's hopefully becoming a little bit less of you have to be white or white adjacent to be professional.
And yeah, and it's so funny because I remember when I first started my career in 2003 at a Fortune 100 company, and I had cornrows. I had extended cornrow extensions. And I remember going to work that day and thinking, because when I interviewed, of course, I had my permed hair, right? And so when I go into work, I'm in cornrows. And I remember thinking, and I think I even had a conversation with someone that I knew who was a little older, saying, you can't, they're going to look at you different when you walk in there with those cornrows in, as if like you now cannot do the work. You're no longer professional. You better hope nobody says anything to you. Like those types of things are what I was hearing. And it wasn't from the people at work. It was actually from those around me, people that I knew. And I was nervous walking in that first day, but I was like, I just got these cornrows done.
Right. I'm not taking them out.
Right. At the time, I had paid $74 for that or something like that, whatever the price was. I have no clue. But, I wasn't going to take my hair out. But I actually for a quick second thought about it, because it was like, I have this hair and it may not be accepted.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we have to think about that.
Right. Well, and I sometimes wonder about the level of it because, there may be unconscious bias and things associated with that where maybe you are getting treated differently. But if I think about like what white people are actively thinking about, they have no idea what's happening with your hair. Like, I remember I was, this is when I did have one of those very short haircuts. I think I had like buzzed on the side, buzzed in the back. And then on Halloween, I was, that was right when they had announced that Ariel was going to be black in the new movie. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be Ariel for Halloween, right? And I got this curly red wig and I put it on, and my, I think it was my like skip level boss was like, oh, did you dye your hair? And I'm like, you can't tell that this is like a different length. It's a different kind of curl. It's a different way. Like, they have no idea.
The day before I had a buzz cut. Are you serious with this?
Right. They're like, oh, that grows fast. Like, they don't know. And so we put a lot on ourselves, I think, and each other about, you know, you got to do this or that. And a lot of them don't even know what we're doing.
And from that standpoint, I definitely agree with that. But it's funny because, you know, we also carry some things with us because that comes from carrying things. I remember growing up, I grew up in an area that was, you know, it was four white kids in my four black kids in my elementary school. 4.
Yeah.
Me, my sister, and the two people who lived across the street from us. That was it. Everybody else was white. And that pretty much that's how my neighborhood was too, right? And so with that being the case, I remember people asking me, how do you get your hair like that? And touching my hair, or, you know, touching. Yeah. Or is that real? Is that your real hair? You know, or how did it go from being this long, you know, last week? And this is like high school at this point, but how did it go? It was this long yesterday and now it's down to here with these braids. I don't get it. You know, what's happening? That's fake hair. How did you get fake hair in your, and it's like, why are we, and it's kids, you know, at the time it's kids, but at the same time, it's also giving me as a kid, you know, you know, it's hitting my subconscious. I'm like, oh my goodness, why are they asking about my hair like this?
But also, nobody teaches them to grow out of it. I've had grown women touch my head without permission. Right. I'm like, that's assault. You cannot just touch people. Like, that, outrageous. I wanted to go back quickly to when you mentioned that, you know, your own mom didn't know how to take care of hair that was not relaxed as well, because that's what her experience was. And I was thinking about being biracial. You know, my mom is white. Yeah. And throughout my whole childhood, she permed her hair. So for Black folks listening, that's making it curly as opposed to relaxing, which is making it straight, right? So a lot of people thought like, oh, I have her hair. And it's like, no, she pays to have my hair, right? Like, she like her hair is straight. But, you know, so she had curly hair, but it wasn't naturally curly. And so she didn't have the knowledge about like, how do you take care of naturally curly hair, or like, how do you, well, none of us knew how to cut naturally curly hair. No. I have a picture. It's a family picture. I must have been in like middle school, and I had that like triangle hair because they had, you know, wet it, combed it straight, and then just cut it straight across. And then it just like poofs into a triangle. That was my haircut for most of my childhood, right? It was like I was a grown adult before we learned about layering. Okay.
So, exactly. Or anything that we could do outside of this.
But even just how do you take care of it? So this is a quick story. So when I had missed the deadline to start school by like 2 weeks. So I was gonna have to stay in preschool for another year. And my folks were like, she's ready, she can read, like she needs to start kindergarten. And so I had to take some tests to see if I could get into kindergarten a year early. And so I took like intelligence tests and developmental tests and things. And they had like a questionnaire they were asking my parents for my development. And one of them was, does she comb her own hair? And my mom said, that question is ethnically biased and I'm not answering it.
Oh.
Which, like, I look back, I'm like, you said that? Like,
wait a second.
Think about, I don't comb my hair now. Like, that's not, and I certainly wouldn't let a 4-year-old comb my hair, right? Like, but that's not how you take care of this kind of hair. But the question was written by white people with straight hair.
Wow. Right? That is wild.
So you don't even think about some of those things, right? You know, like, how do you take care of different kinds of hair? And like, now I'm trying to figure out, you know, how do I teach my kid how to take care of her hair, and how to love her curls, and how to be excited about the different ways she can wear it. And like, yeah, if you want to straighten it one day, you can, but you don't have to be accepted. It can be an expression of you and how you feel that day or how you want to wear it, but it doesn't have to be a certain way
Yeah.
because of some external reason.
And it's so funny. I think that this well, they are newer, this younger generation gets it a little more than our
Yeah.
generation did. And
Hmm.
so, as long as our generation, the one above us or the generation ahead of us, are making the decisions,
Right.
and standing in their biases, it's going to be an issue. Because, I
Absolutely.
mean, I remember not too long ago where a friend of mine, and I mean, I guess when I'm saying not too long ago, it could have been 30 years. No, I'm kidding, but it
We
was
have no concept of time
no
anymore.
concept. It's like, wasn't 30 years ago the 80s? No. It was right. But actually the 70s, but yeah. But it's like this was probably about 10 years ago. And I
Mhm.
remember he had these long dreads that he had all while we were in college and everything. So again, like it was probably 15, he probably had these dreads for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And he went to go and get a new, a new job, new position or whatever, and had to cut. I mean, he was given the advice to cut his
Mhm.
dreads completely off
Oh, that like hurt my
for this
heart.
new role. And I mean, and it wasn't like they were messy or any, like it was like
No.
very clean cut dreads, but he had to literally cut them off. And it makes me think of the fact that things have now changed, but how quick, and I would say on the business side, on like the entrepreneurial side, I think things have changed where you
Mhm.
get to have your natural hair, right?
Right.
um, and have dreads and or locks, or I don't really know the difference, honestly. I know like locks are one and dreads are another. I can't remember which one
Yeah, I
is
don't
like
know which is
the
which.
more clean one and which one is the more, is the more kind of naturally natural one. But
Mhm.
you get to have those and still thrive as an entrepreneur, especially,
Yes.
depending on the spaces that you serve, right?
Mhm.
But in corporate, I mean, this was only 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
he was instructed to
Right.
cut his hair.
Mm.
Whereas, is that still the case today?
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to hear from our
Mm, right.
listeners.
Yeah.
Have you found that um, you need to wear your hair a certain way in order to
Mhm.
succeed in corporate? Is that something that you're still seeing in the
Right.
workplace? Let's
Right.
get a conversation going. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear from folks.
Exactly, because I'm thinking different hairstyles, like when we wear a twist out, or if you decided to do kind of more of a natural look. I have this woman that I work with, and she has this, I think her hairstyle is so cool, but she wears almost like a kind of a fro up top, and then the sides are like it's like braided into the back, right? And
Hmm.
I think it looks amazing. But I know that when I was in corporate, that would not have been,
Right.
it would not
Right.
have been
Right. That's
okay.
like basically a mohawk. Like,
Right, exactly. Yep.
yeah.
It's
And like
basically
I was rocking a mohawk. Actually, that was what I had right before I started growing this out, was a mohawk. And like
see that.
it's yeah, like the things are hopefully getting better.
Yeah, hopefully shifting for all of us because it seems like even as we're saying things are shifting, we're still hearing stories
Yeah.
every day. It feels like of kids who, are at school and told they can't wear their hair in dreads, right?
Right.
They have
Right.
to cut it or they can't come back or they won't be able to graduate. They have to, you can't
Yeah.
wear your hair, the girls can't wear long, long braids. Or it's like, well, what if that's my actual hair? And no one ever told the white girl that was next to me who,
Right.
grew her hair to her butt that she couldn't wear it.
Right.
But this girl with dreads to her butt, she's got to cut those. She can't wear those. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part that isn't really discussed. So I would love to hear in the comments what folks are thinking and what's your relationship with your hair?
Yeah.
Um, and what do you see as professional hair?
Yeah, and I'll be taking notes because I'm like in a crisis right now trying to figure out what my look is gonna be. So I'll be taking notes on people's comments, and again, hopefully very soon you'll see me rocking something different.
Yes. Oh, shoot. I love that. I think we got to have another conversation about hair too. Just kind of because it's maybe even with a guest. Ooh, that would be really cool when we have one of our guests
Yeah,
on to talk about hair because I think it's a big topic, especially amongst Black women. And when we're talking about getting paid, do we feel like the hair is is one of the things that's holding us back?
Yeah.
That could be holding us back.
Absolutely.
You know, because
Yeah,
when we see, frankly, when we see and I can't think of anyone who's not this, but when I see the Black CEOs, women who are, CFO or C levels at these big companies, or even heck, Michelle Obama, Oprah, we don't see the afro. We see the straight hair. We see what my hair looks like right now. That's what we see with them,
Right. But is natural hair creating some kind of ceiling for us that we can't break through without conforming in some way? Yeah.
That is the conversation. That's the next one. That's the next conversation around here for sure.
Yes. So stay tuned. We're gonna get back into it in a future episode. Yeah, hopefully with a guest.
Yeah.
I love that. But thank you all. We'll leave it there for now, but thank you all for joining us. And again, let us know what you think.
We'll see you guys next episode. Take care, everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can catch more episodes like this one.
And join the conversation by leaving a comment below. Be sure to share this channel with incredible Black women in your life so we can continue getting Black women paid.
All right. We'll see you in the next one.